One. Hi.
Hi, sweetheart. How are you today?
Good, you?
Doing good. So, what are we doing today?
We are on episode 15 of
Okay.
Rainy City Murders.
Rainy City Murders.
I'm taking us to 2010.
Yay! A current one.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any updates?
Not
I
for.
don't think for this one. We have ones
No.
for the other podcasts.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, I do want to start out by giving a quick shout out to a Reddit user because he wrote this extensive write up of this case and was able to give me clarifying information.
Okay.
So the username is Quirky Motor.
Okay.
And thank you for the write up because it helped clarify a lot of things that I had a lot of questions on.
Okay. Cool.
We are going to Wenatchee.
Wenatchee.
So Wenatchee is roughly
not near Seattle.
It's 2.5 hours east of us. I personally think Wenatchee is beautiful.
It is. Wenatchee is beautiful.
So we have Wenatchee as the county seat and the most populous city in Chelan County.
Okay. Lake Chelan is kind of the place where everybody goes for vacation.
Mm-hmm. Population 2010 was 31,925.
Yeah. So you can tell it's a small town.
Did you know it's known as the apple capital of the world?
Yes, I did know that.
Due to the orchards found in the valley. And it's actually named after the Wenatchee Native American tribe.
Okay.
So we have some cool little tidbit. Oh, it's your boy who's joining us today. So we are talking about 17-year-old Mackenzie Cowell.
Okay. I didn't even ask. Is this murder or disappearance or?
It was a disappearance murder.
Okay, and was it ever solved?
I believe it was.
Okay.
So I have half the case written down, half of it on my phone because it's a long case.
Okay.
There's a lot of moving parts of this case.
Okay.
So I would not be surprised if we end up having to stop.
Okay.
I don't know what time you have to pick up Dad.
Okay.
And it's already like almost 1.
Okay.
So we have Mackenzie. She was born April 1st, 1992, to Wendy and Reed Cowell. She was the youngest of 3 children.
Okay.
The family lived in around Wenatchee Valley.
Okay.
When she was 7, her parents went through a horrific divorce that resulted in restraining orders against one another.
Oh my God, people!
So despite that, they did share custody of the children, with Mackenzie splitting her time between the two. So she started high school at Kashmere High School before transferring to the Wenatchee School District when her mom moved, even though her father lived in Orondo, Washington.
Okay.
Where she spent most of her time.
Okay.
She joined the high school dance team. She was part of 2 dance studios in addition to the dance team.
Okay.
When she was 16, Mackenzie started seeing an 18-year-old named Joaquin Villasano, who was from Pateros, Pateros, Pateros. The two have been together for a little over a year at the time of her disappearance.
Okay.
So in 2010, Mackenzie, who was a senior, joined a vocational program that allowed her to earn high school credits while job training.
Okay.
Which is a big thing here in Washington.
Yeah, a lot of my daughters, they went to college while they were in high school and earned credits.
Mm-hmm.
So it's big.
So she attended high school from 7:30 a.m. to noon, then went to the Academy of Hair Design from noon to 5 p.m.
Yeah, it's big.
So the academy was in downtown Wenatchee, approximately a 5-minute drive from the high school. It was located behind the beauty school, was a city-owned public parking lot.
Okay.
So February 9th, 2010.
Okay.
Started perfectly normal, like every day.
Okay.
Mackenzie drove in her red Grand Prix sedan at approximately 7:15 a.m. She attended her classes like normal, then went to the Academy of Hair Design. She was expected home after 5 p.m. Because she had dinner plans with her dad.
Okay.
So the last known conversation with Mackenzie was at 3 p.m. that day. She had been asking a classmate if she needed to sign out if she was only going to be gone for 15 minutes.
Okay.
Her classmates assumed that she was going to the drive-thru coffee stand up the road, Auto Mocha, and security footage shows her walking to her car at 3:01 p.m. She had her purse and nothing appeared wrong.
Okay.
Phone records show Mackenzie calling a landline in East Wenatchee repeatedly around this time. She had never called this number, and neither she nor the family knew each other. The family did alibi out with everyone being at work and no connection to Mackenzie, but it was clear she was trying to get in contact with someone.
Okay. So she didn't know the family, or the family didn't know her?
No, they didn't know each other.
Okay.
So it's entirely possible that someone gave her a wrong number sort of situation.
Yeah, that's weird.
Investigators chalked it up to a potential butt dial due to how rapid it was. This was the only strange activity on her phone. Her car was seen at 3:02, heading west on Kittitas Avenue toward the coffee stand.
Okay.
So baristas at the stand confirmed Mackenzie had not arrived that day. By 3:15 p.m., she had not returned to class, with her last text message being to her boyfriend at 3:26 p.m. Her boyfriend responded at 3:42 p.m., and that was the last usage of her phone.
Okay.
At 5:42,
what were the messages?
We don't know.
Okay.
At 5:42 p.m., her phone pinged again, and it's presumed that this is when the phone was turned off.
Okay.
So classes ended at 5 p.m., but Mackenzie never returned to the building. Her father started calling her at approximately 5:40 p.m., inquiring about her whereabouts since she was not home yet.
Okay.
Her phone went straight to voicemail. He called several more times to no avail. He really began to panic when Mackenzie's 8 p.m. weekday curfew passed without a word or sighting of her.
She had an 8 p.m.
It was more of a be in the house, I think. But yeah, as a senior.
Could you imagine me telling you as a senior,
look what you did to Alita,
that you had an 8?
Look.
Well, that was a 9 o'clock bedtime during the week because that child wouldn't get up in the morning.
Yeah. He began making phone calls, including one to Joaquin, who reported that he last heard from her at 3:30 p.m.
Okay.
He also called some of her friends, and they hadn't heard from her either.
Okay.
5 miles south of Wenatchee, in the Pitcher Cannon area, a rancher called police around 8 p.m. A red sedan had been abandoned near his driveway, a sedan that he first noticed around 7 p.m.
The Grand Prix.
The Grand Prix, yeah.
Okay. Prix.
Prix?
Yeah. Prix. It's Prix.
It's a Prix?
Yeah.
Oh. Hey, I learned something. Something to know about Pitcher Canyon. It's pretty remote there, and while people do live there, they are very, very spread out.
Okay.
The road itself is a dead end, and the pavement quickly becomes a dirt road.
Okay.
So it wasn't until 10 p.m. when an officer came to investigate the car. He ran the license plate and called the car's owner, Reed Cowell. He explained to the officer that his daughter was missing as well. Her keys, debit card, and cell phone were missing from the car.
Okay.
There was only one set of footprints in the snow. They led away from the car. You gotta remember, this is February in Wenatchee. It's gonna snow.
Yeah.
It looks like someone parked the car, got out, locked it, and walked back in the direction of Wenatchee.
So you're telling me there were no tire tracks or treads?
Well, yeah.
Already. What did she think she was walking if it was her?
They started to search the area almost immediately once it was established she was actually missing and not a teenager that stayed out late. Joaquin, Reed, and his girlfriend arrived to aid in the search.
Okay.
So they searched the area via helicopter and hoped she was still there. A bloodhound was brought in, but could not pick up Mackenzie's scent past her car.
Yeah, because, the car was just taken out there and dumped, and Mackenzie had already been dumped somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Police interviewed residents of Pitcher Canyon, with 3 people able to recall an unusual sight.
What was the sight?
So, in between 4:30 p.m. and 5:30 p.m., a thin man with dark hair and a dark coat was spotted walking away from Pitcher Canyon Road, away from the car and towards Wenatchee. This was odd because people were typically not walking on rural roads in the winter miles away from town or downtown.
Yeah. He didn't Uber.
No. One report says that this man was white, but that detail was not indicated on most reports.
Okay.
Police were able to obtain her phone records and were interviewing coworkers, friends, and family. Preliminary investigation showed that Joaquin, Reed, Wendy, and Reed's girlfriend were all at work when the car was abandoned, but they hadn't been cleared yet.
Okay.
There was no signs of Mackenzie for 4 days. It was enough that Reed and Wendy had their restraining orders lifted so they could work together to find their daughter.
Okay.
So, on February 13th, 2010, a homeowner alerted police when they found a body on the banks of the Columbia River in the Crescent Bar area. So, Crescent Bar is more than 20 miles east of Wenatchee.
Yes.
Which is in the complete opposite direction from Pitcher Canyon, where her car was found. It is a vacation spot with only a few hundred residents at best. There is no gas station or grocery store in Crescent Bar, which I think we've been to Crescent Bar. I think
so too. We were out by the Cooley Dam.
Yeah.
I think so.
I think we've been near it.
Yeah.
Because we've been up and down the Columbia River.
Yes.
Body.
Yeah.
The body was that of Mackenzie Cowell. The police determined that she died on February 9th between 3:30 to 4:30 p.m., right about the time that she disappeared. She had no drugs or alcohol in her system, and she had not been sexually assaulted. She was found fully clothed in her beauty school uniform. The autopsy reports that she had been strangled, struck in the head, and her throat slashed.
Okay.
Someone tried, but unsuccessfully, to dismember her post-mortem by trying to cut off her arm. A kitchen knife was found stuck in her shoulder, which, why would you leave the murder weapon behind?
Because you're stupid.
One report indicated that there was duct tape on her mouth. An additional strip of duct tape and a plastic bag were found near her body. Police collected other evidence at the scene, but those had no relation to the case. Her keys, debit card, and phone were not with her body.
Well, they would need their debit card to drive the car out of there. The wallet, they would try to take money, and the debit card, they would try to take.
You mean
money.
They need her keys?
They would need their key.
Said they would need her debit card to drive her car.
Oh, I'm sorry. You would need I need a nap. You would need the keys to drive the car to the other location. Oh my God. I need a nap.
There was a second knife reportedly found near Mackenzie's body, but it is unclear if the knife held evidentiary value.
Okay.
Police chose to hold out most information so that they had a way to weed through potential confessions.
Okay.
This piece of information was only made public when the case had gone cold.
Okay.
They encouraged the public to report anyone who owned the set of knives, which was bought from Wenatchee's Stan's Mary Mart.
Okay.
So they knew exactly where they were bought from because it was a specific type of knife.
Okay.
The State Crime Lab in Cheney received several pieces of evidence for testing. Scientists found nothing of evidence on the plastic bag. However, they did find blood on the duct tape that was near her body, as well as trace amounts of DNA from 2 unknown males. The knife also contained DNA from 3 males. Swabs taken from Mackenzie's car were tested, and they found an unknown male DNA profile on the steering wheel.
Okay.
There was also
no fingerprints, just DNA.
Just DNA.
Okay. And it was 2010, so
DNA was pretty advanced.
Yeah, so DNA, but not. That's weird.
There was an unknown male DNA profile on a fingernail on Mackenzie's left hand. It is unclear if all the DNA samples came from different men or if there was some overlap, but it appeared that they are under impression that there were all different contributors to contributors.
Okay.
Mackenzie's DNA was the only female DNA at the scene.
Okay.
A multi-agency task force was formed in response. Initial suspects included Mackenzie's boyfriend and family members. It took a few months for them to be 100% cleared. This was done via alibi, phone records, and witness statements. Police interviewed 750 people, 50 of which had their DNA collected. Joaquin was polygraphed on 2 different occasions. It was reported that he failed one question on the first test. It was the "Do you know who killed Mackenzie?" Take that with a grain of salt, though. That was only reported by one outlet.
Yeah, I mean, it is admissible in court. I mean, we were just watching something earlier, and I wouldn't let my daughters be lie detector.
Polygraphed?
No, I wouldn't let them because it makes you nervous. I've taught my children if they ever get arrested, the word is lawyer. I don't want them involved unless it's a friend of theirs and they have helpful information and they're not going to end up a suspect. I want them to wait for a lawyer and then go from there. I'm not saying that they won't help. I'm not saying that they won't do what they need to do.
I'm going to tell everything to the lawyer first, though, and have them direct me.
Yes. I mean, when these people get up there and just start running their mouths, I'm like, no. Ask for a lawyer.
So please have, though, always maintain that he was 100%, that Joaquin was 100% cleared and he had an alibi, a rock solid alibi.
Okay.
So there was major suspicion, though, casted on Mackenzie's mother's boyfriend, Joey Fisher.
Okay.
He had an extensive criminal history. And Mackenzie and him hated each other. And they had a pretty huge blow-up argument the day before she disappeared. So, allegedly, Mackenzie told her mom it was him or me. He was dismissed as a suspect for having a solid alibi. Apparently he was working miles away.
Yeah.
None of these men matched the description of the man witnessed walking away from Mackenzie's car.
Doesn't mean he couldn't pay somebody.
Oh, exactly. It doesn't mean anything. So investigators tried to use cell phone data to create the timeline from when Mackenzie left the academy. The local paper reported that the last text Mackenzie phone sent was near the Orondo Street boat launch on the Columbia River. They believe Mackenzie was texting Joaquin, which was supported by information Verizon gave with 90% certainty. So witnesses had not seen Mackenzie or her car in the area. They speculated that she might have been meeting someone, but traffic cameras show her traveling in the opposite direction.
Okay.
With that, the boat launch angle was a bust, and they had reached a dead end. That was when Liz Reed, a police informant, stepped forward with information. So her involvement did not come out to the media until after an arrest was made in the case.
Okay, so somebody was arrested.
So the media thought the police were at a dead end, but in reality, they were chasing down a very specific lead for several months.
Okay.
So let's discuss Liz Reed.
Okay. Liz Reed was a friend of hers?
No.
Okay.
She's a police informant.
Okay.
So 9 times out of 10, when it's a police informant, it is a drug addict.
Yes.
Prostitute, former.
Yes.
I'm not.
And we don't think that that's bad.
I'm not saying anything against it.
No. I mean, it doesn't mean you're a liar. It doesn't, but I also think that you're trying to get something out of it. You're trying to get your charges, or you have a deal. That's just what I think.
So she is a self-proclaimed pill popper, prescription shopper, who also had a past of selling drugs almost as much as she was doing them.
Okay.
Liz called police and claimed she knew who killed Mackenzie.
Okay.
Mackenzie was killed in a case. She claims Mackenzie was killed in a case of mistaken identity by two local drug dealers, Emmanuel Buddha Soros, Soros, and Sam Kuvas. Liz claimed that these men thought Mackenzie was an informant from the drug world and decided to kill her to, quote unquote, shut that bitch up.
Okay, so she's actually the informant, and okay.
They told Liz some information on the crime that have not been released to the media yet, such as Mackenzie being both strangled and slashed, but police said that this information had already been reported on in the paper. Affidavits and documents unsealed before the eventual court date show that one of Mackenzie's co-workers reported to the police that right before she disappeared, Mackenzie said she was going out back to meet some guy from Tacoma and to make plans for later this evening. And Mackenzie essentially told this co-worker she was going to go to the parking lot in the back to talk to them.
Yeah.
Liz,
where there's no cameras, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Liz Reed claimed that after this conversation, 4 men overpowered Mackenzie and got into her car. They drove her car away, but some of the men followed in another car, a green Jeep Cherokee. Reed said 2 of these attackers were Cuvas and Caras. A third man has his name redacted or removed from the documents, and the 4th man is left unnamed. Reed claimed that one of the men reached into Mackenzie's car in order to grab her. So
this is still the drug addict.
No. And so here's the thing. This is kind of the weird part. This is what she is claiming. This is what Liz Reed is claiming.
Okay.
So security footage showed there is security cameras. They showed her getting into her car alone, and there was no green Jeep.
Okay.
And there was no men grabbing her and no other people in her car.
Okay.
So that's what Liz Reed claims, and that's what she claims. Okay. So.
But there's no proof that actually happened.
No. So she went on to claim that the two main men, 2 drug dealers, then took Mackenzie to a bluff overlooking Crescent Bar, where they choked her twice, and she didn't die the first time, and then put her body in the river.
Yeah, but she got slashed.
Liz even said that there was a snuff film of the killing and that she had seen it. So for months, they tracked this lead down. They tracked this lead.
Of course they did. And
they looked into the snuff film and repeatedly interviewed both of the men.
And they were like, "Fuck no."
Kuvas had 1 charge of conspiracy to deliver illegal drugs, but Karas has a very long rap sheet.
Yeah.
Like Liz, he liked using prescription pills, heroin, and methadone.
Okay.
He also had charges for selling all the substances in front of an elementary school, weapons charges, and another accusation of using and selling drugs in front of his own children, resulting in custody issues.
He a winner. A winner chicken dinner.
There's no indication
that he murdered her.
No, that they had any violent offenses.
No, they just had drug offenses and stuff like that. And weapons. But
that can be kind of carrying, concealing, that can be traveling, transport, that can be anything.
That can be anything.
So police tapped both their phones, and Liz claimed that the men repeatedly in order to get them to incriminate themselves, but nothing incriminating was ever said or recorded. Law enforcement even went as far as to buy Karras' green Jeep when he put it up for sale in 2010, but no evidence was found except a brown hair that was never DNA tested. So at one point on the phone, Cuvas told Liz Reed, go to Crescent Bar to retrieve a ring. Liz believed that the ring was Mackenzie's. She led law enforcement to a secluded bluff where the group discovered a silver ring. Liz claims that the ring matched a selfie Mackenzie had taken. Police took the ring and tested it, but no DNA was found on the ring, and Mackenzie's boyfriend, her family, and some of her friends could not identify the ring as hers. So cigarettes at the bluff were collected, and the DNA on the butts matched Sam Cuvas, but no other evidence was found. It is unclear how close this bluff is. There's no indication how close this is to where her body was found.
Okay.
So
it could be all the way on the other side of town.
Or like literally 10 miles down the river.
Yeah.
Or upstream. It can be anywhere.
Yeah.
So within a few months, police had determined that both of them had alibis, as both were working jobs at the time. Neither man's phone showed that they had been in Crescent Bar or Quincy at the time of Kenzie's death, or or disappearance, and again, work records showed that both men were at work in Wenatchee. So sometime in the summer of 2010, Liz recanted her story, claiming that she felt threatened by law enforcement, and then claimed that there was no snuff film.
Okay, so she recanted her story after wasting all this time and
Months.
all these resources.
Months.
She a winner.
She later recontacted police and said that her story was true, but that there was no snuff film. She now claims that that snuff film does exist, and the circumstantial evidence aside, her story was disregarded. Police moved on to other leads. And so the thing is that this is the hard part, is that the reason they tracked it down, the reason they ran so far with this, Liz Reed was known to have been a reliable witness who has helped the DEA take down 4 narcotic traffickers in Seattle and the surrounding areas. So that is why
they believed
they took her so serious.
I don't know what to say to that.
Mm-hmm. So because of that, the case once again went cold. And the police said, let's go back to the start. And started running down the leads, their past leads again. When they got a letter from another informant who was sitting in jail in Oregon. Let's introduce you to Theo Keys.
Okay.
So Keys was imprisoned in Oregon for exposing himself to drive-through baristas.
Yeah, winner, chicken dinner also.
So Theo had lived in Wenatchee in the past, and while in jail, he wrote the task force a letter explaining that an old friend of his, Chris Wilson, who was attending the Academy of Hair Design with Mackenzie, had a fascination with death, dead bodies, and serial killers. He reported that he never thought much of it until he realized that Mackenzie and Wilson were going to the same hair school. He then reported that Wilson had once choked out one of their friends, Shauna Novak, at a party. Wilson then unexpectedly released her and acted like the incident never happened. Novak was confused and left the party. Keys also explained that Wilson had worked at 2 area funeral homes that had been fired from one of them due to inappropriate behavior. Which I don't want to know what the
I don't even want to know. Was
I
he
don't want to
filling
know.
up the dead body, or I don't want to know.
It's not as the kids having sex at the slaughterhouse in Germany.
Yeah, that was bad. Okay. No.
I'm good. I'm good.
Don't need a description.
Investigators did interview Shauna, who explained that Theo Keys' story was accurate and that Wilson had choked her once at a party only a few weeks before Mackenzie's death.
Okay.
Novak also explained that she had been convinced herself that it was just a really strange headlock hug, and that perhaps Wilson didn't mean to choke
her. A strange headlock hug? Can I give you a hug?
No.
I'll put you in a headlock, and it'll just be a strange hug?
You get hugs twice a year. Mother's Day and your birthday.
Wow. And you get licks.
Yeah, you do that too.
Wow.
But she said, nonetheless, the situation was very odd.
Odd?
It's one way to say it.
Yucky. Yucky.
So, early in 2010, before Mackenzie went missing, Novak allegedly told her mother that if she ever went missing, Chris Wilson was probably to blame.
Who's Chris Wilson? Oh, I'm sorry.
Do we need to pause and have you go take a longer nap?
Yes, but let's go.
So, unfortunately, Novak has a history of crime and psychiatric disorders. Police were worried that she would not make a good trial witness.
You think?
So, Theo Keys also had a very long history, like Liz Reed and Shauna Novak.
Okay.
He's had a couple of convictions for very small crimes, such as harassment, before being convicted of exposing himself. He also had psychiatric issues, claiming online that he had both bipolar and schizoaffective disorder, but that he dislikes being put in a box and often goes off of his medication.
Take your pills. Police
have admitted that Keys also provided several other tips earlier in the investigation, but that the tips had not panned out.
Take your pills.
So due to his background of sex crimes, Theo Keys' DNA was checked against the DNA left at the crime scene, and investigators determined Keys was not a contributor to any of the DNA. Despite these 2 disorders and criminal background, Keys' story was backed up by Novak and others at the party, so his story was taken seriously.
Okay.
During all this, they literally said, we're going to revisit every single thing from the beginning.
Yes.
So they went through their notes from the early parts of the investigation.
Okay.
They realized that an anonymous tipster who said she worked at the Harris County reported that Wilson told her that he liked working at the funeral home because he quote got quote unquote got to cut people up. These two pieces of information police decided to pursue Chris Wilson further.
I knew you were going to tell me something about him. Creepy man. He feeling up dead bodies.
It's been a hot minute for us.
It was. Things, it was Peyton's birthday and Thanksgiving and everything going on.
A lot of medical stuff.
Yes.
For everybody involved.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what happens when you change insurance. So, okay, he was a mortician who liked to cut up bodies. We're pretty sure on that.
Yeah, so he was described as odd.
Really? Yeah,
You described as odd. He was born in Bellevue and grew up he was born to a single mother.
Okay.
He spent the first couple of years of his life living in the suburbs of Seattle, in Issaquah.
Okay, which is a nice area.
His grandfather was the police chief.
Of Issaquah?
Of Issaquah.
Wow.
So Issaquah is kind of a ritzy
area. It's kind of next to Bellevue and Sammamish. It's kind of...
I don't consider it a suburb of Seattle because it kind of stands on its own.
No, it's a suburb of Bellevue.
Yeah. And even in general, like, Issaquah kind of stands on its own.
It does.
He was artistic, which has... A lot of people have seen that they are usually artistic of some form.
Yeah.
And
Did he draw dead bodies?
I do not know.
Knives through him with blood?
I do not know.
Okay. And I'm judging. I'm very sorry to be judging.
He marched to the beat of his own drum.
I bet he did.
So his mother was Kathleen Azorns. She was a flight attendant, a business owner, and hairstylist who never settled down for long.
Alrighty.
So in the early 1980s, when Chris was a toddler, she married a man named Rick Wilson, who adopted Chris as his own. Soon the couple had another son, but tragically, the husband passed away in an accident. According to the mother, it was at the point that Chris became interested in working in the funeral industry after seeing his father's body.
I don't even know what to say to that.
Mm-hmm. Moving to his teenage years, he spent those in Chelan.
Okay. Chelan is a huge resort here.
Yeah, and 30 miles away from Wenatchee, which I actually didn't realize how close they actually were.
Yeah, they're very close.
It is believed that he was homeschooled.
Okay.
For parts of the time. In Chelan, his mother owned a skateboard and bike shop, and he spent most of his free time skateboarding and becoming part of that lifestyle.
Okay.
So skateboarding, I don't know how it is for other states. Skateboarding is a culture of its own here in Washington.
Yeah, it is in others, especially like California.
I had wondered.
Yeah.
In the bigger, yeah. So it's definitely a subculture of its own.
And Oregon. I've lived in all these states, and yes, they are.
Because they're not really a culture in like West Virginia and Georgia.
No.
It's not really a culture like it is here on the West. In his early 20s, he joined the military, but was medically discharged and always said he disliked that part of his life.
Okay.
Which many people usually do.
Yeah.
He tried living in other states, but always made his way back to Washington. Okay. Because that's where he felt he fit in the best.
Yeah, we got a bunch of weirdos living here in Washington.
Which, by the way, Kevin Coe died.
Yes. Oh, is this a Washington one?
Wenatchee.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry.
Kevin Coe
so one of our previous ones,
he died,
that we did on this guy that was at McNeil Island.
He died last week.
He died last week.
And apparently Gary Ridgway, the Green River Killer, is receiving end of life care.
But I read that he wasn't. That we shouldn't be saying that. And
as reported by every
but all I know is Coe died.
Coe died, and it sounds like Gary Ridgway might be on his way out too.
I hope he gives up the rest of the people.
Well, they just identified one of the remains as a 14-year-old. One of his earliest victims, apparently. It's like 1978. 14-year-old.
He a pig.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got stronger words for him, but I'm trying not to use them.
So at the time of her murder, he was 29 years old and he had no criminal record.
Okay.
So that's also kind of what makes this interesting, is because something like this, with how gruesome it was, I would assume that the person who committed it would have a criminal record of some form.
You'd think.
You would think. Workers and students at the Academy of Hair Design revealed that most women there found Chris creepy, dark, or intimidating. But others said he was simply artsy and strange.
Okay, so how did he end up at the...
He probably applied. If his mom was a hairdresser at some point, he probably got into that.
Oh, okay. So is that's how he ended up knowing these people.
Yeah, and if he worked in the funeral industry, it's entirely possible he went and joined there to know how to do all of that.
Yeah, do hair and makeup and stuff like that. Okay. I was just wondering how he met her, or how
he was at the school. He was a student at the school.
Okay.
Again, I'm reading this also again. It will be like continuous for you guys, but it's kind of cut for us because it's been like a week or so. I am reading a lot of this. A Reddit poster has helped me with this because Mackenzie's case is very interesting, and there's not a lot of like sources that like paint the full picture.
Okay.
So he always told people that he never knew. So at 30 years old, nearly 30, he did not know what he wanted to do with his life, but he dreamed of being a guitarist in a band.
Okay, but while there, he was a mortician cutting up bodies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He had a hard time holding down jobs, and he never worked in one place for a long time, which actually sounds about right.
Yeah.
He started attending the academy because apparently in his late 20s, his mom actually bought a hair studio in Wenatchee.
Okay.
And he wanted to potentially follow her in her footsteps. So he did have a number of relationships with different women, some serious, some casual. He had even been engaged a time or two. And one woman he dated on again, off again, was named Tessa Schuleman.
Okay.
And she comes back into play later.
Okay.
Descriptions of Chris varied.
Okay.
Depending on who you asked. He liked being different.
Oh, yeah.
So subcultures in Washington, like I said, are kind of very important. My high school was very much subculture.
Yeah.
You had like football, you had like sports, cheerleaders, which I'm not saying cheerleader is not a sport, because it is. Especially because we were competitive cheerleading squad at my school. But it literally like split off into like every aspect, like theater kids, band kids, like we truly lived the high school cliche.
Yeah.
So he would be described as someone in like the alternative emo Columbine type people. The ones who had black hair, wore eyeliner, punk, goth, all that fun stuff.
Trench coat?
Yes.
I'm ready.
But that's what he was interested in. He was also very invested in a little show called Dexter.
Love me some Dexter.
Love Dexter. It's a great show. And he enjoyed talking about death and serial killers, and most of his time on the internet was spent on serial killer forums.
Okay, am I the only one who sees this coming?
And his friends have always stressed that he was not evil. He was just different. And had unusual interests.
Yeah.
Which, nothing wrong with that. I'm not knocking that, because I have some weird ass interests too.
Yeah. I mean, look, we're doing a show on death.
I mean, and like liking Dexter and all that, like, it's not cry for help.
It was written very well.
Till like the last episode.
Yeah.
Wasn't like the last season people...
Yeah, we're up in arms.
Yeah. It's usually that last season. He also had a tattoo on his forearm of Hannibal Lecter. Which, I'm not knocking, my dad has Pinhead, Captain Spaulding from House of a Thousand Corpses.
Mm-hmm.
I have Disney.
Yeah, I have
Flowers and the LA
Kings. the hockey team on my other shoulder.
And I have Disney and a semicolon.
Yeah.
Which is really pretty. He had been fired from at least one funeral home in Wenatchee due to inappropriate behavior that made his boss uncomfortable.
I'm not even going to ask.
I don't think it's a Hans Schmidt level where they were having sex in the butcher shop.
Oh my God. I keep going.
Sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but like that episode. His former boss actually has never elaborated on that issue. He just said it was...
Because he might be arrested.
Well, he said it was not his place to talk about it outside of court.
Oh.
However, another manager at a funeral home described him as an excellent employee.
Is he the one he had sex with and that's why he got fired? I mean, I don't know.
One woman who worked with Chris at the Academy of Hair Design described him as intimidating, but not physically intimidating. So he had that aura.
Yeah.
Other workers and neighbors remember him as artsy, but was otherwise a typical guy. So at one point, he did live in Ellensburg, which is in the east. He has stuck kind of to central Washington.
Yeah.
But this was eastern Washington.
Yeah.
And he worked at a Goodwill in the town, which
Ellensburg is known for the college.
Yeah, because that's central, isn't it?
I think that's where central is.
Culture in eastern Washington is much different than western Washington.
Oh, yeah.
They don't tolerate a lot of things over there. So according to some sources, one night his manager discovered him rifling through the dumpster at Goodwill in order to take home a mannequin with him. Some reports say it was a paper statue. Still kind of weird, but okay.
Kinda.
He told his coworkers that this was for his art. He took the mannequin home, dismembered it, and painted it like a murdered body, then shared pictures of this artwork online.
What do I say to this?
I don't know.
Tell me there are other suspects, right?
We'll find out because we're learning this together.
Okay.
His friends though claim that he already found it painted. His friends are ride or die, and they
are ride or die.
I support them.
Why would there be a painted mannequin in the Goodwill trash behind it?
It looks like a dead body, like a murdered dead body. They claim that he called the police and then photographed the limbs for his art. That's what they are claiming.
They are ride or die.
And his friends may be more accurate because apparently there is a police report. Still really weird.
Still weird.
Wilson apparently reports that Wilson told another acquaintance that he strangled a woman to death with a belt in a hotel in Ellensburg. Police said they have no evidence that a murder like this had ever occurred. One classmate interviewed reported that on Halloween, the Academy of Hair Design was having a contest. Students were allowed to do a hair and makeup on a mannequin head however they liked, in a type of dress-up competition. Which actually, that's not that surprising.
No. Yeah.
That actually sounds really cool.
Yeah, I'm afraid to ask what he did. Did he do Pinhead or... Why are you laughing?
So he took a straight razor to the mannequin's face and peeled the skin off, something that disturbed this classmate deeply. Others though have said they didn't think it was that weird as it was for a Halloween game. So what was interesting though is during his trial, Wilson's love of Dexter, his tattoo, and the mannequin incident were not allowed to be brought up because the information was prejudicial rather than probative.
Yeah.
Which is actually kind of interesting.
Yeah, I think that's kind of prejudicial.
Mm-hmm.
If those were allowed in. Because you want him found on the facts, not what he... I mean, it depends on what it is.
Here's the issue.
If he had prior crimes, then I think it should be brought in.
Here's the issue, is that a lot of cases, for them to show them doing it, they do have to show behavior.
Yes.
So that would correlate with those behaviors.
Yes.
The police kind of took the odd behavior, yes, as a, hey, weird. So they did start looking into his movements on the days around Mackenzie's disappearance.
Okay.
Security footage showed that he left the Academy of Hair Design within 72 seconds of Mackenzie leaving. He was shown walking across the parking lot at approximately 3:02 p.m. It was also determined that he left through a different door than Mackenzie, which would explain why no one seemed to remember him leaving right after her.
Okay.
In the video, he He goes near the alley rather than walking across the lot. So he kind of like slinks to the alley.
Okay. Is that the way she went?
No, she got in her car and left.
Okay.
Presumably to get coffee is what they believe. Because there was a drive-through coffee stand right up the road. We're now going to February 2012. He lived in a studio in a building called the Burke Hill Apartments.
Okay.
And so apparently this area is across from the courthouse in a very sketchy part of the town. And it was adjacent to a bail bonds business. Which, by the way, in Kent, if you go down the main road.
And you got to realize the jail is one street over.
And we're next to a school.
Yes.
Across the street from a school.
An elementary school.
I thought Mill Creek was a middle school.
No, I think it's an elementary.
You go down this road. You have a barbershop, a psychic, a bail bondsman, 2 bail bondsmen, and a spa.
And on the other side, there's another bail bondsman. So there are 3 bail bondsmen within a 2 blocks.
We always joke that if you gotta bail your guy out, women probably go to the psychic first to see, do we spend the money on the bail bonds or do we go to the spa?
It is crazy, and it's only 1 block over from the jail.
That's what's so interesting. The building was only a few blocks away from the Academy of Heritage Design. So when Mackenzie's car was last seen, it was actually headed towards his apartment, which was the opposite direction from the boat launch.
Okay.
Verizon Wireless was asked if it was possible that Mackenzie's last text message were sent from his apartment rather than the boat launch that they assume it was.
Okay.
When they reviewed the data, they admitted that it was just as likely that Mackenzie was in the vicinity of the apartments rather than the boat launch. Because they were both on the same road.
Yeah, and, this is 1982?
No.
What?
This is 2012.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2012. They should have had they should have had better data. Now they can do which house.
Because we just saw it on the Troll Live. That's great.
I am so, literally, yes, I'm sorry.
So his whereabouts for the rest of the day are unknown, and he doesn't have an alibi.
Of course he doesn't.
His mother claims that at one point he swung by her house to pick up a plate of cupcakes, but it doesn't appear that Chris stayed with her for any amount of time.
Okay.
His phone went unanswered from 3:30 to 3:50 p.m., which is kind of when she disappeared.
Okay.
What we do know is that he had a car, but that a little before 4 p.m., he called his friend asking to borrow their car. His friend said that he could borrow the car until 5 p.m. Chris said he needed the car for longer, but his friend told him that wasn't an option. He may have borrowed the car and returned it at 5:15 p.m. His defense attorneys claimed that Chris did not end up actually using the car, and said that the video surveillance shows that the car never left a spot in the parking lot. So from 3:02 p.m. forward on February 9th, Chris was in regular phone and text contact with his ex-girlfriend, which was Tessa. They talked 8 different times in between 3:30 and 6 p.m. Her phone records revealed that she was also in contact with her current boyfriend who lived in Quincy, Washington, which is only 3 miles from the Crescent Bar where Mackenzie's body was found. Tessa called her current boyfriend twice around 6 p.m. and then also called him at 9 p.m. in a panic state. She said something really, really bad has happened, and then please pray for me. The man thought the request was odd as he described Tessa as anti-religion. He could not remember the exact day of the conversation, but he believed it to be February 9th or 10th. Phone records showed that the time of the phone calls most likely happened on the 9th. Phone records demonstrate that this 9 p.m. call, as well as another call Tessa made around 10 p.m., may have originated in the Quincy area. Another ex-boyfriend of hers reported that Tessa came to his house to pick up some items, somewhere between February 9th and 13th. He described her as agitated and fidgety. She stayed with him for about 20 minutes but left the residence without collecting any of her items.
So you think the ex-girlfriend was in on this? She's acting like she's in on this.
Yes, like something major had happened. Additionally, Chris matches the description of the man who was seen walking down Pitcher Cannon Road. However, take it with a grain of salt because it was such a generic description that a lot of people in town could have matched it.
Yes. He's 5'10" to 6'2". He has blonde hair. He's skinny. He's white. Blah, blah, blah. How many people does that fit? And I'm not saying that's his description. but I'm just giving you a generic description. He's a black guy. He has dreads. He's taller than I am. He's kind of chubby. He had dark clothes on. He has white tennis shoes. How many people does that describe that you know?
And we definitely have seen the eyewitness testimony is not reliable.
No, it's not. Oh, yeah, I saw him. Yeah, right. What did he look like?
Mm-hmm.
Or he had a mask on, but I saw those eyes. He is definitely Hispanic. I mean, his hands were covered, but I know he's black. You know, I don't know how people, voices are easier, I think.
Oh, I think so.
I think voices are easier.
In the days following her disappearance, Wilson was rarely at school, either being there and leaving within a few minutes or just not showing up at all.
Okay.
And then again, like I said, he was not on the police's radar until the summer of 2010. He was not on the radar until they were looking back through the tips and they received that letter from Theo Keys, the guy in prison who...
Yeah.
So in August, that's when police did finally interview all the students at the Academy of Hair Design. Later that month, they got warrants to DNA test students, thus obtaining his DNA. So court documents say that Wilson gave his DNA willingly. Wilson's profile was sent to the crime lab. He did not match the DNA in Mackenzie's car, the fingernail, or on the murder weapon, but his DNA was consistent with one of the male profiles found on the duct tape at Crescent Bar. So next to her body had been that piece of duct tape.
Oh, that's right.
So with this information, police asked Wilson to come down to the station again to be re-interviewed. Law enforcement agents asked him if he ever been to Crescent Bar. He denied this and was promptly placed under arrest for the murder of Mackenzie Cowell.
Ooh, that's kind of fast.
So Detective John Cruz claimed that at this point, Chris looked at him blankly with no emotion on his face and didn't deny the accusation, instead saying, "I think I need a lawyer."
Good.
That's so after his arrest is when all of his hobbies and his oddities became known to the people and to everything. And there are pictures that show that he was at Mackenzie's funeral. So he has claimed that he did not know Mackenzie and had never talked to her before, although he did admit that he knew who she was, which that happens.
It does all the time.
Like, I can tell you I knew people in school, but I never spoke like a word to them.
Yeah, and you show up at funerals because you're a kid and you feel bad.
Mm-hmm. And if it's a fellow classmate, you're going to show up.
Yeah.
So, however, there were claims, but subsequent interviews kind of claimed that this wasn't all that true. Many people remember Mackenzie talking to Chris.
Oh.
One person even described a relationship or friendship developing between the two. One woman claimed that Chris Wilson had told her that he found Mackenzie hot. But his mother claims that Mackenzie and Chris were not friends on Facebook or MySpace, even though they both used those websites, which that doesn't mean anything.
No, it doesn't mean, because it's not prevalent like it is now.
Mm-mm. She also claimed Chris and Mackenzie never talked on their cell phones, which is accurate as far as reports have shown.
Yeah.
Chris's friends stated that while Chris talked about some people he worked with at the Academy of Hair Design, they never remember him mentioning Mackenzie. So after his arrest, police looked at his cell phone records and his computer. They also located his car in Spokane, which he sold in April 2010. So they thoroughly searched the apartment he was living in, which was the basement of Salon Culture, a building which his mother owned. Okay.
Where were we?
I reclarified something. She died in 2010.
Okay.
It took until 2012 to bring someone to court.
Okay.
They tore apart Chris Wilson's apartment that he was living in.
Okay. Had he been living in there since 2010?
No.
Okay, so this is his new apartment.
Did not realize that.
Of course they didn't.
He was not living in this apartment at the time of her death and disappearance and all that.
Okay.
Police did report to one of the newspapers that a luminol test showed blood in the stairwell. Blood was sent to the crime lab, which revealed that the blood did not belong to Mackenzie, which is no surprise to us now.
Yeah, because he was in the wrong apartment.
Mm-hmm. Woman who worked at the salon recalled that when the salon was being painted, a painter had cut his hand in the stairwell, which makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
The blood was not connected to the case, and police instead got a warrant to search the studio that Chris was living at in the Burke Hill apartments months prior. So apparently he had vacated this apartment in June of 2010. On Chris's computer, police found some strange photographs as well as two strange videos. The photograph, which is not publicly available, is allegedly of Tessa laying on the floor of Chris's apartment, posing as if she is dead on top of a brownish stain. That's not weird at all.
Well, maybe they're into kinky sex, or maybe she likes it. Maybe she.
That's a little too kinky.
Yeah,
I don't kink shame, but I will here. In one explanation, Tessa said that she had passed out drunk in Chris's apartment where he snapped the photo.
Yeah, I'd think of something fast.
Yeah. Another time she said that Chris had asked her to lie on the ground and then he took a photo. She also said that she had no memory of anything that happened from February 9th to 13th and that she was not involved in the disappearance of Mackenzie, even though all of her behavior pointed differently. So the videos featuring both of them were taken on June 26th and June 30th. They feature someone carrying around a camera and videotaping parts of the empty apartment. On the video from June 26th, a brown reddish stain can be seen on the carpet. Right before the video ends, the videographer zooms directly in on this stain. Before going to the bathtub, panning around the bathroom, panning around the bathtub and then cutting off. So in the June 30th film, which is very similar, Chris and Tessa can be heard talking. Chris says, "Does it look clean in here?" And Tessa says, clean considering what's happening? Yes, I think it's clean. And then zooms in again on the exact same part of the carpet, but now the stain is barely visible. But I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Somebody could have thrown up. The dog could have taken a crap. Anything could have happened.
There also could have been an accident, or they cut their hand, or they cut. It's possible. And that's a bitch to get out. I know, I've had to vacate. I've left apartments to clean. They're not easy.
No, they're not.
Chris said he made the videos in order to show his landlord so they could get his deposit back, which actually makes sense because I did it too.
Yeah.
He also said that the stain on the carpet was from a party when someone had knocked over bong water, which also is possible, and that's disgusting. Bong water is so fucking gross.
It is gross.
Remember the trash can?
Yeah.
He said the stain smelled really bad, so he cleaned it with Simply Green and got the stain out, which also makes sense because bong water stinks to high heaven.
Yeah,
especially if it's sat for a while. Oh, try not to throw up thinking about it. So some of his supporters say that the video showed nothing at all, but others say the video is very damning, especially the remarks that Tessa makes.
Maybe she helped with the deposit and she wanted her money back.
So when police entered this apartment, they sprayed the area with luminol, and the stain lit up. So the carpet and the pad were cut away and sent to the state crime lab. The piece of carpet was very small, only a few inches. Like it's very small.
Yeah.
So the state crime lab was able to determine that the stain was blood that belonged to Mackenzie Cowell. So she was in the apartment at some point.
Wow.
The piece of evidence was the nail in Chris Wilson's coffin.
Yeah,
And the DA charged him with second-degree murder. Naturally, the town of Wenatchee was shocked. They were shook.
Yeah.
Which...
Because his mom must have been well known.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was the business owner. And Wenatchee is that big?
No.
Wow.
It's not big at all. And that's when the front pages in the newspaper for a long time were splashed up just stories about him and recollections and all that. He was arrested in October 2010. He did not go to trial until 2012. So in his early documents, he was represented by a public defender, Keith Howard, who was once named one of the best lawyers in Washington. Howard explained in court documents that the DNA found on the duct tape was not a complete profile, and that the DNA sequence matched thousands of white men, perhaps even dozens of them in Washington state alone. He also pointed out the fact that Chris Wilson's DNA was not found on the murder weapon, nor was there any evidence that Mackenzie had been in his car or that he had been in her car, which does not mean a whole lot.
Nope.
After all, the DNA from Mackenzie's car didn't match him either, of course.
Yeah.
So further, there was a second male DNA profile on the duct tape that was someone else entirely.
It could have been the guy who sold it to him.
Mm-hmm. Judge Bridges allocated $10,000 worth of public funds for the DNA to be retested at a private facility in Ohio before going to trial. And so I'm assuming that's what took so long.
Yeah,
Was
I would
because
assume.
that DNA testing, again, it as they have said in previous cases, it is not always a priority for the crime lab like it is for the town.
Yes.
Howard also discovered one of the DNA profiles found on the murder weapon belonged to a fingerprint analysis at the crime lab in Cheney. He also discovered the second profile found on the knife could not rule out a deputy who arrived at the crime scene. So, hence, they're claiming that it was contaminated.
Yeah.
Mishandled and contaminated. He pointed out how sloppy this made investigators look and reminded the public that the DNA evidence was not as cut and dry as it seemed. For example, the profile on the duct tape was a YSTR profile. It was not going to match one in 2,700 males. This particular profile is most common among white men and excludes all women. 1 in every 1,047 Caucasian men have this particular sequence, and it would be most common among Chris Wilson's relatives. He, however, had no male relatives living in the area, as he was not a Wenatchee native. His biological father is unknown. His siblings do not share his YSTR DNA, as they have a different father than Chris.
Kind of, well, maybe, and then, yeah.
So according to this Reddit poster who did this math, the profile could have belonged to approximately 7 to 14 people in Wenatchee, and more if you include, like, the outlying areas. So not many people.
Nope. And with Mackenzie's blood in his apartment, and he left at the same time as Mackenzie and disappeared, and his ex-girlfriend lost her mind, and I can see where we're going with this.
Everyone thought this was a slam dunk case. And then, out of nowhere, the Chelan County District Attorney did something that shocked everybody. He offered Chris Wilson a plea deal. 6.5 years for manslaughter if he pled guilty.
Really?
Yeah.
Did he take it?
No. He wanted to go to trial and have the truth fully come out. I would have taken it. Unless I was 100% innocent, I would have taken it. So they knew something. The district attorney probably thought that he couldn't win it. Not for second-degree murder.
So, did he go to trial?
Yeah, he went to trial.
Did he get convicted?
We're getting to that.
Okay.
So, of course, naturally, community was pissed about that.
Oh, yeah.
So, preliminary hearings were held with Chris Wilson's new attorney, John Henry Brown. He was a very prestigious lawyer out of Seattle, which actually, I think, isn't that the big company that does a lot of the commercials?
I think so.
He has defended some famous criminals, such as Ted Bundy and Colton Harris Moore, the Barefoot Bandit, which I have his case. We're going to discuss it. But he defended Ted Bundy.
Wow.
Brown planned on calling Liz Reed to the stand and throwing suspicion at suspects like Carlos Cuvez, Joaquin Veliznino, and Joey Fisher, which was the mother's ex-mother's husband or boyfriend. I can't remember what their status were. He argued that all these men had motive, which his client Chris Wilson did not have. He also defended some people in 1995 during what was dubbed the Wenatchee witch hunt. Which was that satanic panic, which I know a lot about. But if we discuss, we're going to be here for a long, long time.
Okay.
Essentially, all 40 people were arrested for ritualistic child abuse in Wenatchee Valley, many of them being daycare workers, preschool teachers, and Sunday school supervisors.
Yeah. Okay. Let's continue with this one.
And so many claim that this was a bold strategy to throw the blame at all these people who kind of been ruled out.
Yeah.
He also tried to say that the police planted Mackenzie's blood in his apartment. And many, which no one really believed. The police would collect Mackenzie's blood with a person planted in the apartment, someone who wasn't even on their radar when they collected the blood.
Yeah.
This also assumes that the police somehow knew that there was a stain in Chris Wilson's apartment that he would have videotaped, and they would be able to collect the evidence. So there's a lot of assumptions there that don't make sense. Others have wondered why the police would try to frame someone with no criminal past and only vague connections to Mackenzie when they could have easily framed someone like Karos, who had a very long criminal record. They were also in possession of Karos' car, so planting evidence wouldn't have been challenging. So this is what they were trying to argue.
Yeah.
Brown also pointed out the sloppiness in the investigation of the 3 male DNA profiles collected from knife at the scene. 1, possibly 2 of the 3 profiles on the knife were determined to have belonged to law enforcement. 1 belonged to a fingerprint analysis of the state crime lab near Spokane, which is in Cheney, as I said. Another sample was a partial profile which could not exclude 1 deputy who responded to the crime scene. The 3rd profile is still unknown. Law enforcement has said that while there are steps to avoid contamination, it actually happens often, which is why the DNA of all analysis and officers is kept on file. Police also admitted to moving Mackenzie's body from the river onto the shore without waiting for a forensics unit. They expressed fear that the body would float away due to the dam fluctuations if it was not moved. However, in this event, some evidence may have been moved, lost, or damaged.
Yeah, I mean, you can't just leave the body.
That dam
moves.
They release water.
Yeah.
I don't even remember, but they were right to be worried.
Yes.
He also spearheaded the idea that Chris might have been arrested for being weird in a small town. Like many people, Brown was also troubled by the apparent lack of motive that Chris had for killing Mackenzie. Right before trial, a change of venue was requested by the defense. While that was being decided, many pieces of evidence and information from Chris's life were ruled inadmissible at trial. Shauna Novak's testimony, along with some of Chris's weird interests, were to be suppressed. As jury selection got underway, approximately 85% of potential jurors admitted that they already thought Chris Wilson was guilty. A similar number of jurors have followed the case and knew about suppressed evidence. On the day before trial was set to begin, Chris Wilson entered a plea of guilty for Mackenzie's manslaughter and requested the DA's previous deal of 6 years. The DA countered with a 14-year sentence in exchange for a signed document that said Chris had caused the death of Mackenzie Cowell. He took the plea deal and was sentenced to 14 years, with the possibility of getting out in 10 with good behavior.
So he did it, because they won't accept a plea deal if you don't state that you did it. If you say, I'm taking this deal, even though I'm innocent because I just want to get it over with, they won't accept the deal.
Is he already out?
He must be. Is his girlfriend ever been charged?
Hold on. That happened in 2012. 14 years, 10 in good behavior. He's already out.
Yeah.
Or he may already be on
his did his girlfriend ever get charged?
Oh. Well.
Oh, God.
So, Brown explained to media outlets that sometimes defendants have to do what's best for them, which is sometimes taking a plea deal even if they're innocent. He was not innocent.
He was not innocent.
As soon as Chris Wilson was placed into prison, he immediately tried to go back on his guilty plea and once again claimed he was innocent. He seemed to think that if he did this, he would get an immediate retrial or some sort of appeals process, but this was not the case, and today he is still sitting in Callum Correctional Facility in Washington State. And this was a couple years ago.
Yeah, so he's probably out.
When the media asked why the DA would offer such a lenient sentence for Wilson, he said that the reasons were twofold. First, he felt that the jury would want a motive for the crime, and he felt that he and his team could not provide one. Except for the maybe Chris Wilson was interested in becoming a serial killer himself, which people say is pretty far-fetched, but he had all the signs.
He did.
And something could have easily snapped, and I don't know. I don't think it's that far-fetched. The other issue is that while Mackenzie's DNA was found in Chris's apartment, the DA said he had no proof that Chris was there when it happened, or that he caused Mackenzie to bleed. This, coupled with the fact that his DNA was not on the murder weapon, made him feel like his case was not as strong as the people of Wenatchee seemed to think it was.
Yeah.
And especially if they got that request to change in venue happen, because they would have probably moved him to Seattle, they would have had a harder time proving it.
Yes, they would have.
So, and there's still many unanswered questions about this case.
There is a lot.
So he has maintained his innocence since the minute he was placed into prison. He says he regrets many things about his life, especially his Hannibal Lecter tattoo, which biased the public against him. The biggest question is motive.
Yeah, what's his motive?
And that's the thing, is that what comes down to is that there's so many sources that say they did not know each other well. So what motive did he have?
He was hot for her.
Mm-hmm. There was no problems between them. They did not run in the same circles. They were not similar ages, were not in the same grade at the academy, and they apparently did not talk to each other online or on the phone. Mackenzie was not sexually assaulted, which it doesn't rule out a sexual motivation. I'm sorry, he tried to dismember this girl. And the scenario was the question of the unknown DNA.
Yes.
On the knife, on the victim's fingernails, and in her car. And so, and that points, what this person points to is that they believe that there was an accomplice. And I do too.
Yeah, there could have been.
Um.
Okay. Were they male DNA or female DNA?
Male.
Okay, so it had to have been accomplice. So either Chris is sitting in jail for nothing that he committed, and there were two male.
And so,
how did Chris's DNA get on that tape at the?
And so something others and his attorney have pointed out was that Mackenzie's jugular was cut, which produces so much blood. So people are questioning, if she was killed in his apartment, why was there only that little patch?
Yes.
And then a lot of people point out is that he could have pulled a Dexter and laid down plastic.
He could have.
But that would mean that the crime was planned out in advance and would produce additional evidence such as bloody plastic sheets, which actually is not necessarily true.
Not necessarily.
He could have buried them.
So did they prosecute the girlfriend? Was she ever charged?
No.
That's interesting. So they must not have had that big of a case on her.
No. And it's also the question of how Chris got Mackenzie into his apartment in broad daylight.
Yeah.
Did he invite her up? But she's like 5'8", but she's athletic. Very athletic.
Yeah.
And also, how would he have gotten her body from his second floor apartment to his car?
Yeah, without leaving anything.
Without anyone noticing, because this was broad daylight.
Yeah. I don't know.
So, and this further implies that he must have had an accomplice. That's what people are saying. Police have always theorized that Tessa was his accomplice, but Tessa was ruled out as being a contributor of any of the DNA in the case. Further, her car was searched, but nothing was found. Because of this, her charge of aiding and abetting a criminal was dropped.
Okay, so she was charged, but then it was let go.
So she legally changed her first and last name and moved out of the area as soon as the sentencing concluded. Ever since John Henry Brown pioneered the idea that Wenatchee police are corrupt and planted Mackenzie's blood, people have questioned the validity of the other evidence in the case.
So he may have served 10 years. But the only thing that bothers me is there was his DNA on that.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. I mean, who was the other DNA?
That's what everyone wonders.
That's crazy.
So others have pointed to Liz Reed's story and her testimony and questioned why her story was thrown out while Keyes' story was believed. When asked why the DA trusted Keyes rather than Reed, he said that Keyes' story had merit. Not only did partygoers back up his account of the choking incident, DNA confirmed Keyes' suspicion about Wilson. Reed said that Liz's story about Cuvez and Caros is nothing but blatant hearsay. Show me one thing that connects Cuvez to the crime. One thing. There is nothing.
Yeah.
So many locals are still skeptical of Caros and Cuvez. And, Caros has always said that he's not involved, and Liz Reed is someone who likes to ruin other people's life. And so Sam Cuvez has passed away, but it appears that he did not get into any more legal trouble after his first run-in with the law. And Caros has always denied involvement and says that he's not. So like I said, Caros has always denied involvement and says that he's not a violent person and that he's trying his best to live an honest life. But as of 2020, he is in prison for a heroin charge. So, like I said, there's a lot of questions that remain in play here. The main one being motive. The only other thing that's interesting with Chris Wilson has not really outright denied his involvement in her death. So whenever he's interviewed or whenever Chris is asked if he killed Mackenzie or hurt Mackenzie or was involved in her murder, he doesn't really deny it. Instead, he answers usually with a question such as, "Where did you hear that?" or "Who is saying that about me?" So if you're going to run your mouth and maintain your innocence this whole time,
you should be saying that.
You should be denying it.
I would think that.
Right? Wouldn't you think that?
I'd be pissed.
I would want to know who was saying that, but also I would be on my high horse setting this record straight.
So would I. So would I. Okay, guys. That was a really long one.
Okay, I want you to know.
She's going to edit it.
We're almost over an hour filming just today alone. We filmed over an hour last time, too.
Yeah, we definitely need to edit this one or make it a two-parter.
Because, like, our podcast, the longest one we have is, like, 48 minutes.
Yeah, this is
And that was,
long.
like, the beginning. The very, like, first episode.
Okay, Ko is dead.
Yes, Ko is dead. But I want to hear what people think. I want to know what you guys think for this case. Because,
yeah. I mean,
because
this is
there's so many.
If you think he had a partner.
I want to know if you guys think he had an accomplice, I want to know who you think it was. What do you think the motive was?
Yeah.
Was he trying to become a serial killer? Was this his start?
They just stopped him in time after he got his first body?
Was he being set up by the police?
Yeah, that would be one.
For being just too weird in a small town? Like, I want to know.
Yeah, I definitely want to know.
But that is the case of Mackenzie Cowell.
Okay, sweetheart, I love you.
Love you too.
Okay, bye.